Welcome back, crime fighters. It is time for another edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted, the program where you get to help make Calhoun County a better and safer place for all of us. I'm your host, Chris Wright, along with Calhoun County Sheriff Larry Emerson. Good to see you, Sheriff.
Good to be here, Chris. And thanks to everybody's work the last week, Lord, our numbers are getting better all the time. 6 arrests, making us 3,535. Wow, what a total.
That is awesome. So you guys have been doing a great job. We're coming up on 12 years here before too long of doing this show. It doesn't seem like 12 years, does it?
No, I was a young guy when we started.
I was wearing diapers.
I understand. I may be.
I will be soon. But, all right, let's change the subject off of that. Let's talk about the weather, because in case people haven't noticed, the weather is changing, and that brings some different awareness issues.
Certainly, and as winter is coming on, folks, we want to always be aware of the changes in our weather. It's getting darker earlier, obviously, since the time change. So be careful going home. Be careful for the kids moving around in your neighborhood. Be careful for wet conditions, lots of rain, lots of slicky conditions, and certainly the chance of winter storms are coming along. So we just want to be thinking about that and be prepared. Make sure you got good tires on your vehicle. Make sure your vehicle's well maintained, and keep an eye on the weather report. We know somebody who does a little weather reporting.
I'll help you with that every night at 9 and 10 here on TV 24 with the Primetime News. But it's not just what we consider winter weather to watch out for. We are in the middle of our second season for tornadoes in Alabama. From November through mid-December, we have a second season. As a matter of fact, Veterans Day 2002, we had 10 tornadoes in the state of Alabama. One of those actually caused a life to be lost in Cherokee County. So this time of the year, watch out for the tornadoes as well, but definitely start thinking about the different cold weather situations and be prepared for those. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to show you some people that we want you to be prepared to see out in public. If you know where they are, we're going to want you to share that information with us when we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
Big news for homebuyers searching through all those complicated mortgage options. AOD Federal Credit Union is now offering new, out-of-the-box mortgage solutions. Mortgage loan manager Jamie Bailey will help find the best rates and quickest approval for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, Jumbo, HARP, and more. Call Jamie Bailey at 256-241-8218. Out-of-the-box mortgage services. Reason number 4 that you belong with AOD Federal Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA. All loans subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
The Ford brand has always brought you impressive style and legendary quality, and Sonny King Ford brings you the lowest price and the largest inventory, new or pre-owned. The new 2015 F-150 gets the best gas mileage of any truck without giving up its powerful towing capacity. The iconic new 2015 Mustang, with its classic pony car looks and hunkered down stance, preserves a legacy that defines American motoring. For over 93 years, Sonny King Ford, for the best cars and best price.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to wash my camo so I'm ready for hunting season.
Get that stuff out of my washer. You should take it to a laundromat.
There isn't any good laundries around here.
Sure there is. Washington Aniston Coin Laundry on Quintard, across from Walgreens and beside the Social Security office.
They have a washer that can handle a real man's jacket?
They have the biggest washers and dryers around, and you can get all your stuff finished within an hour.
Awesome. I'm headed to Washington Aniston Coin Laundry at 829 Quintard, and then I can take the rest of the day to get my other gear ready.
Or maybe you can finish the yard work.
Yeah, right after I sight my bow.
Amazing grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
a crackhead,
drug addict, alcoholic, meth freak,
a wretch
like me.
I once was
homeless,
broken, sad,
just lost.
But now I am
sober,
happy.
I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
Hi, I'm Katina Houston Stroud with Family Links, and this is the Family Tip of the Week. Have you ever listened to parenting advice, all the while thinking, that won't work with my child, nothing does, he's too difficult, no one can get through to him? If you've ever felt this way, then stop. There is hope and room to make some real changes that work. I understand that parents get frustrated and exhausted trying to deal with kids who can be really resistant and difficult, but I know from experience that it doesn't have to be the case. There are other ways of solving the problems of acting out, defiance, attitude, and lack of motivation in children. I think when a parent says, my child will never change, one of the things they're saying is, my parenting style will never change. I don't think there's anything new I can teach my child, and because I'm stuck where I am, he's going to stay stuck where he is. If your parenting style isn't working and you don't change it, it's probably going to continue not working. That's just a given. But if your parenting style develops and you learn different ways to coach, teach, and set limits on your child, I believe eventually you'll see change. The first step when you have a hard case kid is getting your child to listen. This is another instance where parents have to look at their own skill base. Your child's capacity to listen will be influenced by his age, his or her peers, the setting in which you're having the conversation, and the issue at hand. Parents envision what might have to happen in order for your child to listen. Try to have these elements in place when talking to your child. Also have something worth listening to. Kids don't listen to preaching, labeling, name-calling, or blaming. Speak directly with the facts and identify rewards and consequences. This is how you hold your child accountable. Remember, kids don't behave simply because they like their parents. Kids behave because it's in their best interest to behave. For more parenting tips, please call Family Links at 256-820-5911.
And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up on our lineup this week, Terrence Taylor. Mr. Taylor, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for probation revocation on discharging a gun into an unoccupied building. And meet Casey Johnson. Miss Johnson, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for failure to appear on attempting a credit card possession and probation violation on paraphernalia, selling and delivering of drugs. And this is Jordan Colson. Mr. Colson, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for probation revocation on possession and receipt of a controlled substance. And meet Jeffrey Swink. Mr. Swink, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to appear on destroying state property by an inmate. And here is LaQuashance Kamak. And Mr. Kamak, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for probation revocation on possession of marijuana second. And take a look at Kasim Fox. Mr. Fox, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a forged instrument. And last up for our first half, Christopher Jenkins. Mr. Jenkins, last known to be living in Glencoe, he's wanted for probation revocation on possession of marijuana second and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. That's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
All right, and we'll have some more bad guys for you here in just a little while on Calhoun County's Most Wanted, but now we want to welcome Katina to the set. Some good information there, Katina, that you just shared with us. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate being able to do the parenting tip weekly. You know, people call and say, I can't wait to find out what you're going to be talking about. And like I share with you every week, it's usually very closely related to what's going on in my own home. And so it's easy to report on the family tips and parenting tips.
Do you share those tips somewhere else? If people miss the show one week, are they able to find those tips somewhere, or maybe go look at a month worth of them at a time to catch up?
Actually, the show, the whole show, Calhoun County's Most Wanted, is on YouTube, so they can find it there. But we place the parenting tip each week on my personal Facebook page, but also on the Family Links page. So every week, the Family Links, if they go to the Family Links Facebook page, there is the parenting tip that airs for that week.
All right, all of us parents could use a refresher now and then, for sure.
Absolutely. We don't get a handbook when we're giving our kids, so it's sometimes trial and error, and the more information we can be given beforehand, the better off we are.
All right, and Jonathan Gaddy is joining us now from the Calhoun County EMA. Jonathan, good to see you back in town.
Absolutely, it's great to be here.
You and about 70 other people from Calhoun County took a little trip up to Maryland, I understand?
That's right. We had the opportunity to go through something called the Integrated Emergency Management Course, which is a week-long training that's developed just for our community by the experts at FEMA, and had an excellent trip and a lot of lessons learned.
And we're used to, Sheriff, having people come into Calhoun County to do training at the CDP, but understand the facility in Maryland is just massive, and no knock to the CDP. It's a little bit different, but a little bit similar, and just great to be able. Aren't we lucky to have that in our home community, and then also be able to send 70 people up to train at this facility?
We have tremendous training opportunities in the county with the CDP, but being able to go to that state-of-the-art facility and the opportunity for our folks to be there and work together in a teamwork type way in ways that prepare us for problems in the future. It's an opportunity you can't find anywhere else.
That's correct. The EMI, or the Emergency Management Institute in Maryland, is actually co-located with the National Fire Academy. So it's a small part of that operation. The FEMA people that we work with up there were able to put together a series of training exercises just for Calhoun County that covered all hazards. We had some law enforcement specific scenarios, as well as some train wrecks, tornadoes, and various other bad things. So it's great to have a chance to wrap your hands around those problems before they actually occur.
And when we say 70 people went, that's not 70 employees of the Emergency Management Agency. That's 70 people from the whole spectrum of first responders in Calhoun County, right?
That's absolutely correct. You know, the Emergency Management Office is actually pretty small. There are about 5 of us. And our job is not to run the emergency, but to coordinate with the Sheriff's Office, the police departments, and the fire departments, and the other agencies out there that are actually going to be involved in the response.
I imagine one of the biggest benefits, obviously, is professional training from people who really know what they're doing. But one of the biggest benefits is probably just having those 70 people get together for, what was it, a week, and actually communicate with each other. Even though we're living close to each other, we don't always talk as much as we should, and just getting to know each other better in that situation probably just really gets us in better shape.
You know, being able to get free from the distractions of the day-to-day duties, I'm sure the sheriff can attest, it really allows you to focus in on some of that team building and planning.
And having local officials, leadership from the various governments is important, because they get to see what goes on behind the scenes, if you will, and having that opportunity to work with everybody certainly makes everyone much better prepared and poised to respond.
Absolutely. You know, these fire departments and police departments have equipment needs and training needs, and having the participation of those local officials like our city managers and city administrators really allows them to sink their teeth into that and understand how important it is for these first responders to be prepared and properly equipped.
Now, to me, looking at Calhoun County today, I look at it and think we're a much safer community than we have been for a long time. The chemical weapons are gone. We've done a lot of things to become a better prepared and safer community, but it's good to see that we're not just resting and saying, well, that's all in the past, we're going to be good. We're still looking to the future.
Absolutely. I tell people a lot, one of the things that makes Calhoun County more prepared is the demographics. Just having the military base here, a lot of former military, the Homeland Security Training Center, there are a lot of folks in this community who know how to handle problems and, more importantly, are willing to give back. So anybody out there that's watching, you know, there are opportunities available in your local fire department, check with the police department, you know, volunteer and get involved, because that makes us more able to respond together as a community.
Sheriff, I know you rely heavily on volunteers at the Sheriff's Office.
Absolutely. Our reserve deputies and other folks that volunteer with us, they're a resource that we can call in, and the training that everyone receives lets us put those folks into play. And when we need manpower, that's a huge benefit.
Absolutely. Those folks are critical. Having the training and the skills is nice, but it takes a whole community to be able to respond to a disaster and start that recovery process.
And unfortunately, we've seen that a few times here in Calhoun County. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the second half of this week's lineup, and I want to talk about some of the specifics of the scenarios that you went through up there in Maryland. When we come back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
Amazing grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
A crackhead.
Drug addict, alcoholic, meth freak,
A wretch.
like me.
I once was.
Homeless.
Broken. Sad.
Just lost.
But now I am.
Sober.
Happy.
I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
Your word is rigmarole.
Can you define it?
A long, complicated, and annoying process.
Can you use it in a sentence?
The last time I tried to buy a car, I just got a big load of rigmarole.
Well, you should have gone to Jacksonville Auto Sales.
Jacksonville Auto Sales across from Walmart in Jacksonville, or find us on the web at jascars.com. Remember, Jacksonville Auto Sales, home of the no rigmarole deal.
Big news for homebuyers searching through all those complicated mortgage options. AOD Federal Credit Union is now offering new, out-of-the-box mortgage solutions. Mortgage loan manager Jamie Bailey will help find the best rates and quickest approval for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, HARP, and more. Call Jamie Bailey at 256-241-8218. Out-of-the-box mortgage services. Reason number 4 that you belong with AOD Federal Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA. All loans subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to wash my camo so I'm ready for hunting season.
Get that stuff out of my washer. You should take it to a laundromat.
There isn't any good laundries around here.
Sure there is. Washington Aniston Coin Laundry on Quintard across from Walgreens and beside the Social Security office.
They have a washer that can handle a real man's jacket?
They have the biggest washers and dryers around, and you can get all your stuff finished within an hour.
Awesome. I'm headed to Washington Aniston Coin Laundry at 829 Quintard, and then I can take the rest of the day to get my other gear ready.
Or maybe you can finish the yard work.
Yeah, right after I sight my bow.
And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Brian Edwards. Mr. Edwards, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to pay child support, the face of a deadbeat dad. And meet Nikita Ali. Miss Ali, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for probation revocation on resisting arrest. And take a look at Shay Swan. Miss Swan, last known to be living in Anniston. She's wanted for probation revocation on criminal mischief second. And meet Jonathan Bloodworth. Mr. Bloodworth, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for probation revocation on illegal possession of a prescription drug. And this is Harold Gibson. Mr. Gibson, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on child support, the face of a wayward deadbeat dad. And meet Joshua Watson. Mr. Watson, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for theft of property third. And last up in our lineup this week, Larry Norton. Mr. Norton, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for failure to appear on domestic violence third, harassment, and failure to appear on harassing communications. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on the whereabouts of these folks, please give Crime Stoppers a call at 256-238-1414.
We are back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted, along with Jonathan Gaddy from the Calhoun County Emergency Management Agency. And Jonathan just back from Maryland, some training with 70 people from Calhoun County trying to prepare for things that hopefully won't happen, but history tells us some of them probably will.
Yeah, it's really tough when you work through a scenario because you never want to jinx yourself, and hopefully we're not setting ourselves up for a problem. Tuscaloosa went through a similar training regimen to what we undertook in 2009 and have attested that this actually helped prepare them for the tornado that they experienced in 2011.
And of course, we've all heard lots of praise for the way that Tuscaloosa handled that situation. It was a tragedy that couldn't have been avoided, but the response afterwards, I think everybody has said that they did a great job.
You know, that city was really hard hit. One of the things that came out of that is that they had strong leadership from the mayor's office and the rest of the city officials, and we're really trying to replicate that to some extent with our cities here. From Calhoun County, we had teams from Anniston, Oxford, and Jacksonville that were able to come and function as a unit, not just with their own city personnel, but also to work on how they can better interoperate and build a larger team with the other agencies in the county.
Sheriff, I'm sure you wish that we could have had that training before the tornadoes that hit here in Calhoun County.
Certainly, and Chris, and we've had them several times where we've seen that tragedy happen. So the better prepared we are in this scenario, and we are miles down the road, our EOC that was developed, our training that we've been able to participate in such as this has made us much more prepared as a community, and hopefully we will be able to mitigate those responses so that damage is at the least we can possibly hope for.
Tornado is one thing. What are some of the other scenarios that you got training for?
You know, we also focused on some of the other hazards that people don't think about. We did a couple of hazardous materials releases. That's a very specialized kind of response and takes specialized equipment and personnel.
And very much a possibility here in Calhoun County. The train goes through, the interstate goes through. We've got a lot of things that pass through Calhoun County.
That's right, and you don't always have the luxury of knowing what's moving on the roads or rails, so we have to really be prepared for anything.
And what else?
We also did a tornado scenario that wiped out some of the critical city facilities. So in 2011, Calhoun County was hard hit, but it was mostly the unincorporated areas. With the scenarios that we ran, it actually affected the downtown areas of the cities. So that prompts them to think about how are they going to run their operation if City Hall or the police or fire department is out of service. It really puts an extra strain and kind of a twist on things.
All right, so did we get a report card at the end of this week? Or
You know, it's an ongoing process. Emergency management is always what we call a moving target. So we've got a lot of feedback from the participants and really are looking forward to sitting down with them now that we're back in town and coming up with an action plan on how we want to address things and move forward, and everybody's excited and ready to do that.
All right, so we've gotten our first responders and city officials, government officials prepared. Katina, we got to have our families prepared too, don't we?
Absolutely. I'm not quite sure how families play a part in it. Jonathan and I were having some conversations prior to the show talking about how families sometimes are the unfortunately neglected part after an emergency happens. And so we're trying to figure out ways to bridge, or he said they're trying to figure out ways to bridge the gap where families are not left neglected after an emergency occurs.
You know, a disaster is a very stressful event. It's not the same as a routine emergency. A lot of households are already under stress financially or with troubled relationships. So when this disaster occurs, it can really put an extra burden on there. And it's important for the community to recognize that both our professional folks who are able to offer services like Family Links, as well as the church groups and other support services. The more people can be engaged with that support network, the better they'll be able to fare in the unlikely event that they do have some kind of disaster that occurs.
One thing we've learned in other places like Katrina is the public safety folks who are out there doing their job, they don't know what's going on at the house. Phone service is down, inability to get back home to check on your family. How's my wife, my kids, my husband? It's a really stressful thing, and they had some real issues there. We've been fortunate it hasn't been that large scale, but it's a huge cost on the public safety side of life.
Yeah, our first responders are people too. They have family and kids at home just like everyone else. So it's important for us as a community to remember that and where we can to help them out.
Of course, we have to look out for their emotional well-being as well, Katina.
Right. Another thing that we discussed was the fact that there is sometimes a stigma associated with counseling or taking care of yourself when you're a first responder, and maybe you're expected to always be tough. I don't know any other word, but always expected to be tough and ready. But self-care is essential for anyone, especially in someone who's working in such a high, I guess, crisis or high, stress situation. Thank you, Chris. And so if counseling or self-care becomes the norm rather than waiting on an incident to occur and then, it's the straw that broke the camel's back, if we could, stress that taking care of yourself along the way is something that's very important, it would reduce those issues that occur afterwards.
We can't talk about an entire week of training here in just a few minutes on the TV show, but I can tell you this much. We're glad that you and everybody else went up there and received that training and that Calhoun County is ready to respond.
Absolutely.
Probably the most important thing is to have the support of the community, acting through our local officials such as the sheriffs, county commissioners, and the mayors. It's going to take a long, hard slog to keep us where we need to be, and it's never going away, so we just need to keep that in the back of our minds.
Jonathan Gaddy with the Calhoun County Emergency Management Agency. We will be right back in just a few moments. We'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show and our Crazy Criminal of the Week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
Big news for homebuyers searching through all those complicated mortgage options. AOD Federal Credit Union is now offering new, out-of-the-box mortgage solutions. Mortgage loan manager Jamie Bailey will help find the best rates and quickest approval for you. Conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, Jumbo, HARP, and more. Call Jamie Bailey at 256-241-8218. Out-of-the-box mortgage services. Reason number 4 that you belong with AOD Federal Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA. All loans subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions apply. Equal housing lender.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to wash my camo so I'm ready for hunting season.
Get that stuff out of my washer. You should take it to a laundromat.
There isn't any good laundries around here.
Sure there is. Washington Aniston Coin Laundry on Quintard across from Walgreens and beside the Social Security office.
They have a washer that can handle a real man's jacket?
They have the biggest washers and dryers around, and you can get all your stuff finished within an hour.
Awesome. I'm headed to Washington Aniston Coin Laundry at 829 Quintard, and then I can take the rest of the day to get my other gear ready.
Or maybe you can finish the yard work.
Yeah, right after I sight my bow.
Your word is rigmarole.
Can you define it?
A long, complicated, and annoying process.
Can you use it in a sentence?
The last time I tried to buy a car, I just got a big load of rigmarole.
Well, you should have gone to Jacksonville Auto Sales.
Jacksonville Auto Sales across from Walmart in Jacksonville, or find us on the web at jascars.com. Remember, Jacksonville Auto Sales, home of the no rigmarole deal.
Amazing Grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
A crackhead.
Drug addict, alcoholic, meth freak,
A wretch.
like me.
I once was.
Homeless.
Broken. Sad.
Just lost.
but now I am
sober.
Happy.
I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask you to put your deer stalkers on and help our investigators with these cases. First up on your caseload, on November 2nd, a suspect or suspects attempted to steal a New Holland tractor and bush hog from an open field located off of Highway 431 in Wellington. The suspects left a utility trailer and it was recovered near the tractor. And sometime on November 3rd, a business located on Mud Street in Lincoln was broken into. They got away with cash and a Samsung Galaxy tablet. And on November 5th, this barn located on New Liberty Road in Piedmont was broken into. 3 halogen spotlights, hardware for a sliding door, and tractor oil filters were stolen from that location. And sometime on November 5th, the Troy-built pressure washer, Craftsman air compressor, and Craftsman battery charger were stolen from this residence on Choccolocca Road in Anniston. And on October 30th, a Husqvarna lawnmower was stolen from a residence located on Highway 431 in Ohatchee. And last up on your cases this week, between November 6th and November 7th, a steel chainsaw was stolen from a silver Silverado truck that was parked at a residence on Windstone Drive in Jacksonville. And that's your Crime Stoppers cases. If you have any information on these cases, and we hope you do, give us a call at Crime Stoppers, 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
Stupid! You're so stupid! Now, every now and then we turn the tables from the crazy criminal to the law enforcement officers. We don't always do what we're supposed to do we, Sheriff?
No, we're still in the human race.
We've got one individual with a sheriff's office, I believe in Florida, who was about to receive an award from Mothers Against Drunk Driving. He had 100 DUI arrests, and they were going to honor him. But the police chief noticed as he was outside the venue where this award ceremony was going to take place that he seemed a little inebriated himself.
I heard about that one.
So he didn't think that there was a problem, but his superiors were told that there was one, and he was removed from the premises and did not receive the award.
I don't think their chief intended for him to demonstrate the problems you have with too much alcohol.
Now, I don't think he drove inebriated. At least I hope he didn't. I don't have any knowledge that he did. So
I don't even think about that.
But he did spend the evening in his hotel room instead of having a nice fancy dinner and something to take. I wonder what his wife said when he didn't come home with an award.
Yes. I wonder what it is. Oh, I'd hate to be the next work day for him.
No, it would not be pleasant if there even was a next work day.
Right. Not a good day.
All right. Well, that's all that we have for you this week. We thank you for joining us, and we'll be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.